Welcome to Able Pathways podcast. I'm Annabelle Ferber, founder of Able Pathways, where we provide executive function coaching for neurodiverse individuals and professional development for educators. Our podcast explores the windy journeys of learning and growth. Each episode, we travel the unique pathways taken by a diverse range of interesting people as they reflect on pivotal moments in their lives that led to unexpected insights and transformation. Through these conversations, we hope to illuminate the infinite pathways for how we grow and learn. Visit our show notes for links, information about our speakers, and resources mentioned on this episode. Tenzing, is that how I should call you?
Yes.
How do I pronounce your last name?
It's Nyentsey.
Nyentsey?
Yes.
No, I didn't say it right. Say it again.
It is correct. It's correct. Tenzing Nyentsey. Actually, it's a Tibetan name, so you've pronounced it correctly, but the way it is written in Tibetan is Nyentsey. When you write it in Tibetan, it's spelled, it's written
Nyentsey.
differently.
Tenzing, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I'm really excited.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's just start off by getting to know you a little bit. I know we were able to touch base before this, but are there things you're currently excited about that you are reading or listening to or watching?
Yes. So I'm reading one book called Vegetarian. I don't know who the writer is, but it's called Vegetarian. So I moved to a new place, and it's a place where a lot of people are vegetarians here. And it was very difficult for me to find a house here because they don't take in people who are non-vegetarian. So I went to a bookstore and I saw one book which is called Vegetarian. I said, okay, fine, let me read this book. But it's a very different book. I think it's a Japanese book, Japanese writer. It's about a husband and wife, and the wife suddenly turns vegetarian one day, and then what happens to their life after that. So it's an interesting book. So I'm just reading. It's nothing to do with the place or
Yeah.
the neighborhood I am in, but it's just a thing. Yeah. So I'm reading that, and I'm reading a book by Project Zero. It's called. It's actually I'm reading a book on radio schools. It's called Visible Learners. Yeah, it's interesting because I've just been very interested about my way of teaching things, and then trying to see how certain aspect of I've been following Project Zero's work for a long time, and just trying to understand how if that can be applied to my teaching practices, especially in the design front.
So cool.
So
I'm
yeah.
gonna want to read that too. Yeah. I'm gonna put it on the list. Awesome. Do you watch TV or movies or no time for that?
I do. A lot of movies. Actually, I used to watch a lot of movies, but now my son's taken over the television, so I watch whatever he's watching. So it's been a lot of animated films. So I just finished watching Soul. I think he was watching
Oh,
Soul. Yeah, so
yeah.
I just
Yeah.
watched it. And the thing is, I think with my son, he watches. I don't know why he watches the same movie again and again. So I think I remember him watching Soul. I think a few years back, and again he's watching it again. So yeah. So I yesterday I watched Puss in Boots, and before that it was Soul for me. Yes, so that's my movie list right now.
You know, they'd say when you watch something over and over again or you read, and I don't know if it would be exactly the same for a child, but I would imagine it'd be similar. It's a comfort because your brain knows what to expect and there's no surprises. And I also watch things over and over again. Maybe I just never grew up.
Mhm.
Is there time in your life or a practice you engage in that just brings you some joy or a sense of peace? Any practice in your life like that?
Yeah, I mean, I run a lot, so yeah. So my morning routine of getting up and doing that few miles. I think that's the time I'm by myself. I've got my earphones on. I'm listening to something, or I'm listening to some music, but constantly like just that zoning out in my own space. And that's my time, and I really look forward to it. Sometimes I feel guilty also about it because I'm away from my family that way and I'm in my own space, but then I really
Mhm.
love it, and that's my zone. And I've got my playlist on. I've got few things that I want to listen to, and yeah, I think about work. I reflect on my own things that I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, I bet your family benefits from you having just that time for yourself sometimes,
Mhm.
right?
And I think it's important for every individual to get that time. And I often tell my wife and my kid to like take that time out for yourself, just to be in that space where you're thinking about things about yourself, about things that you've been like wanting to think about, or things that
Yeah,
like you're wanting to do by yourself. I think it's important.
I do too. So you shared a little bit about your career, but would you mind sharing a little bit about what it is you do and where that started for you? What got you on this path?
Yeah. So I would describe it the way my wife described it. My wife said my life is like a project. So I don't do like one thing. I've been doing a lot of things, one after the other, one after the other. After my graduation in design school, I worked in the television industry for a long time, for almost 3 years. And there I was actually working in a kids channel where we were developing uh, educational media for kids to understand science in a better way, because just to break away from that myth that science is tough, or just to make sure that science is fun. So we were developing a lot of media, television media for them. So I did that for almost 2 3 years. That was in Bombay. And after that, a couple of my friends said, let's go back home and do something back. So in 2010, I moved back to my hometown, and that's where we started our design studio. Design was pretty new in India, and it's way, way, way new in my place. So people didn't really understand what we were doing. So we started with making wedding cards for people. So we just, like, okay, somebody's getting married. Can we do the wedding cards, please? So that was the only job we were getting then. So yeah, so a lot of pro bono work, a lot of work just to make ourselves visible. So after that, but then we slowly started networking with people. We started working with the government. We started working with small clients, and then just trying to show our what value that we bring to people, what kind of work that we do. So for the last 10, 15 years, me and my partners, we have been working with the government in the social sector, working in the grassroots level, trying to make a difference in terms of how design can bring value to their products, to their communication, and how certain like aspects of behavioral change can happen. So that was something that was going that I did for a very long time along with my partners. But on the side, again, I started this learning space, right? We had this office space outside the office space. Me and my wife started and a couple of us. So we started uh, a restaurant, bakery kind of a space. So that's when I met FinSoc, and a lot of students started coming in, and that's where my wife, my friends, and me, we all started doing something that was very different from the kind of work we were doing. So that's where we started engaging with a lot of students. That's where we started getting our hands on knowledge towards what learning looks like, what teaching looks like, and how does even like activity driven uh, I don't know, activity driven space looks like, right? So we did a lot of baking workshops, but when we were doing a baking workshops, we were also making sure that, okay, what was it that they were learning? What was it that they were having fun with? Yeah, trying to do similar things with carpentry, similar things with clay and model making.
Mhm.
So a lot of pattern, and that's something that we really enjoyed. We were also like really looking forward to the weekends, and like having spending time with the kids. But also we felt that since these workshops that we were doing was also we were charging for them, and it was we were charging some entry fees for it. So only a few people who could afford these workshops could come there. And we felt that I think this whatever we were doing should be more inclusive. We should be able to get more people into it. With this idea in our head, we went ahead and we just collaborated with the school, and then we said, okay, we're going to come every weekend and we're going to work with your school. It was a government funded school.
Mhm.
And we just said that, okay, we'll collaborate with you and we'll do weekend workshops. So we started with that, but then we failed miserably there because firstly, the scale of it, because it was easy for us to work in our own space, defining what it looks like, what kind of activities we wanted to do. A couple of students, 15, 20 students, eligible by 3 4 people. But the moment we took the school, it was almost around like 70 to 100 students there. And then there's like two, three of us trying to manage the crowd. So where does learning happen there versus
Mm-hmm.
how much of time we were spending just to make sure that there was order in the learning space. So we failed miserably. So we came back to the drawing board and started again with our own space itself. So that space was called Brew, and that's where Finso came in, and a lot of other students actually came to our life, and we're still following a lot of them in terms of what they are doing. A lot of them have actually moved into the creative field, and we are really proud that like we've been able to at least bring that spark in them in terms of doing something beyond what normally people in Sikkim do. A lot of them actually just go towards becoming a doctor or an engineer, and that's what a lot of parents look forward to, for them, for their kids to become. So just seeing at least a couple of them choosing a career that is beyond what is the norm. I think we've kind of felt good that at least we've reached our goal, or we've been able to mentor a few of them. And then after that, we moved our office space. So as we moved our office space, we could not hold on to that space for a very long time. So it's kind of again fizzled down. So that was like my project number two. And then after that, it was during the COVID time. My son was just almost around the 4 or 5 years old then. Uh, he was in grade one, and I did not go to the office then because I also wanted some time for myself to think about what I was doing, what I wanted to do. And my son was having a really bad time with online learning experience. Especially, I mean, he was in an age where the attention span of looking at the screen and learning itself was very new for him. Books were
Mm-hmm.
new for him, and then on top of that, sitting and staring at a computer for an hour or two, just learning things, it was miserable.
Yeah.
I every day I would look at him and then him doing things. I just felt that this is not what it is supposed to be like, and yeah, so I just felt that this is a huge problem. Like certain things happen, and a whole institution, a whole sector which has been functioning in a certain way just
Right.
collapses, and nobody's ever and no one knew about it, right? So yeah, I just that was something that was in my head, and I've been talking to Finsa for a long time in terms of like how do I see design and learning coming in together, and I was really interested in understanding what does creative learning space looks like, creative learning
Mm.
methods look like. So that's when Philsop told me, why don't you apply to Hugsy and then see how things go there? And I was like, wow, man, it's just I just have to pivot myself. It's just too much for me. But then the pandemic gave me that time to think
Yeah.
about it and reflect on it. And I saw that, okay, this is like, even something like pandemic happens and education sector falls down, it's a huge problem. I think that's something that nobody had thought about it. So I took that time to think about my own idea of going and understanding more about education and learning. And I think 2023, I applied to Hugsy, and I got in, and I was like, "Whoa, that's like a different now thing." And I hadn't even I told my wife about it. I hadn't told my parents about it. So I was like, "Okay, only if I get in will I tell them." So yeah, I got in, and I was like, "Now what do I do?"
Oh no. Because that's far away too, right?
Yeah, and
Moving.
there's just
Yeah.
like one life that's happening, right, for me, right? And now
Yeah.
the whole shift towards something else. And then yeah, so that was a big decision for me. And then my wife like supported me a lot, and she was like, just go and do it. It's gonna be a different experience for you, and it's gonna work in the long run for whatever it is. And after that, I just told my parents about it, and they were also quite supportive. Other than the fees, that they were like, oh, we got into Harvard. Great. Then I said, this is the amount you have to pay. Well, they were like, what? So yeah.
Yeah.
So other than the money that was supposed to be paid, I think they were like really happy that I got into Harvard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, then after that, Hugsy happened. So that was the project number three. So
Mhm.
and then that a year and a half that I spent there at Cambridge, it was very, 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 very different. It was a huge change in terms of my learning, in terms of my mindset towards certain things, looking at certain things, and it also gave me that much needed space to understand myself, what I wanted to do, and what is it that that I, as an individual, I'm really like passionate about. And I think
Mm.
other than like the learning, other than spending time with people, I think it gave a lot of. I think I was by myself. My family didn't move because it was a huge, it's going to be a huge change for them as well. And my wife was working. She's also a teacher, so she was also working, and my son was also in school. So it could have been a difficult thing to move everyone there. So it was a year of with me myself only. So
Mm.
yeah, it was a good time to just reflect, uh, think about myself. It was a new place, so also that discovery was there. Like, and meeting new people, I mean, people not only from India but all over the world, and understanding them. Uh, Seeing so much of difference in terms of how each of us are, but also so many things that hold us together, so many things that are so common among all of us. You might, like, and especially like childhood stories, experiences and emotions that you hold on to dearly. And then when you share that, it's like, oh, that's something that even happened to me. So
Mm.
yeah, so we might just like huge realization that we might be so different and from different paths, but then there are so many simple human experiences and values that everybody holds so dearly. And if that's what connects, everyone. And it's so easy to connect to somebody who's from different part of the country, just because there is certain human connection that brings us into the same space. Yeah, so those kind of realizations just came into me. And
Mm.
yeah, and so it wasn't a career move for me at all. It was more of a individual uh, way to pivot and understand, where do I stand. It was more for my own self, to know myself as an individual and my role in the broader um space that I saw myself in. So it was a huge experience for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I've come back now to India, and then I was like, I really wanted to get into, and I've been teaching for like when I was running my design studio for 11 years. I used to take a monthly break from my office, and I used to come back to my college, my undergrad college, and teach there for a month. And that was also a big reason for me getting into education, because that's when I felt that I really liked teaching. I really
Mm.
loved spending time with learners, and because I felt that I was also not only learning, but also I was catching up with the trend. Also, a lot of times you kind of do your own thing, and then you know how it is done, and there is this one framework of
Yeah. Yeah.
process that is in your head. This is the way it works. But while I was going every year and spending time with them, could see new things coming in, the way they were thinking, and then me getting more curious about why were they thinking the way they're thinking, what is this happening in their life that they're thinking that way. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so that curiosity also brought me into like getting into education space more. And now I'm in this space where I am getting to learn a lot with spending time with young learners, and but it's more in the higher ed space. But then still, this is the space where I think my former experience in design and my new experience in learning, they're really coming together, and I'm getting
Yeah.
to explore whole new dimension of like what does creative learning look like, what kind of mindset do these young people come in when they have access to knowledge and information in their fingertips. What role do I come in as, and what can I do? How do we, as I won't say teachers, but as the people, can bring value to what they already know. So all those questions are there in my head, and I'm really excited about like what's gonna come in. Yeah, so that's my projects. Those are my projects.
Great. I have so many follow-up questions. First, I wanted to say that I think I personally, I love a lot of things about teaching and learning and all of that, but I don't think people realize who haven't done a lot of teaching how much design goes into it. And good teaching has really high level of design to it, and not in the sense of blueprint and just photocopy it, but really being like the design being both thoughtful and looking ahead, but also being flexible,
Mhm.
like the way a web is, a spider There's web is like very organized and clearly there was a lot of thought that went into it, but it'll like move with the breeze, it will move with things. And it's so deeply about design. And I was just interviewing a guest before this, Lisa Smully, and I don't know if you know her, but she's working at the KBU University in Sikkim that's starting up.
Yes, yes.
She's been teaching for 50 years and reflected
Mm.
that one of her favorite things was design, the design elements in teaching. I think, okay, design and education, how do they fit together? But in some ways, they're always together. But I want to circle back a minute because you started your story a little bit later, but I was curious, where did you get exposed to design? Or were you just pioneering this on your own?
Well, no, I think that way, I think there are a few people who've been in my life who've been really supportive in terms of what I wanted to do or what showed me direction a lot of time when you don't know what you want to do, right? So, everybody back in Sikkim, me also finished my school from Tashinangil Academy. It was one of the only public schools that time in Sikkim. And after that, like anybody else, I also wanted to become a doctor. And
Uh,
I was preparing myself to become, to follow the science, MBBS is what you call it here, right?
mm,
So I don't know whether it's called MBBS everywhere, but again, I think the senior of mine, he had gone to the Design Institute, is one of the premier design institute in India. It's called National Institute of Design.
mm,
He had gone there and he had this lovely experience, and he came back to my school, and then he was just showing the kind of work that he'd been doing. Alf was had this inclination towards art, but design was very, very new to all of us. We didn't know what
uh,
it was, what is that, what does it mean even, right?
mm,
So he said that okay, fine. He showed this great work. We could understand a little bit about it, but then he was like, okay, anybody wants to know more about it, wants to have a one-on-one, could like meet me after the presentation. So we went there just as curious kids, just to understand what it is. Uh, and then he told a little bit about the institute, where does it exist, what does it do. I wasn't really impressed by it. I wasn't really saying that, oh, this is what I want to do for my as a career. But a lot of my friends were, and they were
mm.
really interested in, and they were like, "Oh, I want to go there, I want to do that." And for me, it was just like, okay, you guys are going, I'll also come along. I'll also see what's happening, right? So so what happened, like boards, our final year boards, right? Exam
Mhm.
boards happened around March. And during the winter, we are just studying for our boards, right?
Yeah.
And in between is when the entrance exam for this college happens. So my
Mhm.
friends were all appearing for it, and I also said, okay, let me also appear for it. And it was also a good break because we had to go to Calcutta for the entrance
So it
exam.
was a nice vacation for you,
Yeah.
basically.
So in between our studies, it was like a good a week break. So we all decided, okay, fine. If it doesn't even work out, we'll just have a good break there and come
Right.
back. So a bunch of us, almost around like 12, 15 of us, we went and we had this nice, like holiday there, and we did our entrance exam, and then we came back. And then uh, after that, I just was again, like reading a little bit about it, not again really exposed to the idea of, I want to be a
Yeah.
designer, I want to take it as a career. But while my board exam was happening, that's when again, I think it's very strategically placed also as an entrance test because the results for it comes before the results for the other colleges comes in India,
So
So
that they
even
could catch you before you choose
exactly,
to be a
exactly.
doctor.
Exactly. So I got in. I got into the first for the written exam. I got in, and then after that, my boards was over. My boards was over, and then they called me for the interview, and then I went for the interview. So all those things were there parallelly happening. But then alongside, I was also preparing for my medical thing. So as soon as I finished with my interview, after a couple of days, I got a letter saying that, oh, I've been admitted to the college. And then I showed it to my parents, and they were like, I don't know, you're supposed to do your medical thing. What do you think? Then I said that let me just go and try it out because medical results come in much later
Oh,
in the year.
time. Okay.
Right. So I went, I joined the college, and after a month or two, my dad calls up and say, "Okay, fine, now you've got into medical as well. Now come back and
You're
come
not
back." Then I was like, no, I kind of like this place. And there was no studies. There were no books. The design college didn't have any books, didn't have any studies, didn't have any classes, no lectures of sort, right? Mostly
wait,
all
projects? Your favorite
Projects were
thing?
there. Yeah, it's all projects, right? It's all projects, sitting, doing, working with your friend, working on by yourself, building things. So that's where learning was happening. And I really loved it. I just felt that this was something that I
Mm,
really enjoyed, that I loved doing it. So I had to tell my parents that I don't want to come back. I don't want to do medical anymore. And my parents were a little, like taken aback by it. But I think they were also like, because it was quite new, design as a career was quite new. So they were more worried about whether my son will get job, or whether it's a good career options or not. So that was what they were worried about, not that they hated design. So I think it was okay for them, and for me also. I slowly started spending time there, and I kind of really liked the environment that I was
mm,
in and the learning that was happening. So 4 years, it was a 4 year program.
mm.
So 4 years in that space with people who are like really passionate about making new things, about innovation, about creating new things. So yeah, so that's where I
That's
was, and I
cool.
really loved it. And that's where I even got exposed to the project-based learning, or to a learning that happens beyond the school-defined school traditional classrooms, right?
Mm,
Before that, it was always about teacher or student. It was never about peers. It was never about a person who's coming in and guiding you in a certain way to make things happen. So that
yeah.
that learning experience was totally new for me, and something that I uh, subconsciously fell in love with. So yeah, and that's something that I kind of try to like practice it, and also try to see how we can improvise on it, because it's something that has also been there for a very long time, but there is also a lot of room for innovation there itself. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very. Wait a minute, though. We need to know if your friends who dragged you there got in too. Did your friends get in too?
Yes, so yeah, so
Okay.
this okay. We were 15 of us, and three of us got in. Yeah, so it was great. So, and that is the biggest batch that has come in from
Oh,
ever.
okay.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
there's always been like one person or two-person who's been coming in. So our batch, we had three of us, and so that was like good.
And are those the people that you later worked with when you went back to Sikkim
Yes.
and you started this design studio?
So there
One
were
of the
two
yeah.
other guys. Yeah. So one of them moved with me, and then we started the studio. One of them is still in Bangalore and then working there. So
So cool. So you had it sounds to me like you had a very traditional sort of early schooling and then with some pushing from your friends, but like obviously you were made for this. You really took a unique path. You did this other schooling. You also had an experience coming to the US and going to university. So thinking about all those different experiences, can you name some of the big changes like or perception that you had of learning when you were younger versus what you kind of know now about learning?
yes, definitely. I think I've tried to question learning a lot now, and that's been something that like even drives me now as to like whether what does learning look like, and who is it for, and what change is it bringing to that person when that thing is happening, and how do we know that that learning is happening. So those
Mhm.
are the kind of questions that is there,
Mm,
and that's something, because I often fall back to my traditional way of being in a classroom. And I do not say that learning didn't happen there. There was a certain way of things being taught, and it stayed with me. It stayed with me, it's still there in my head, a lot of things. But was it the right way? You don't know. But did it work? In some ways, yes. And was it supposed to do what it was supposed to do? Might have, because they must have had that. Okay, fine. You're supposed to prepare for your test and then get good answers. So it worked that way. But was it
yes.
the correct way, or was that what learning looks like in schools? I don't know. I don't think so, right? So it could have been way different then in terms of our approach towards learning. But I'm happy for something like that happened. Like I was part of a traditional classroom, because that made me question what learning is now and whether that was the right way to do it. Even when I was in a design college, we were more hands-on, and we were doing a lot of learning by doing things.
Yeah.
We're making a lot of things and we're doing. Now I'm even questioning whether learning is actually happening there. A lot of times you just make things, but how do you know that in that process of making any kind of learning has happened? A lot of times people just like build it because that's the task, right? Okay, you build a Lego block, you build it, but is there what is going in that person's head, or what is going in that kid's head? What through that process, what has that person learned? You don't know. So not always do these big broad frameworks of learning by doing or learning by rote memorizing, these are all practice. Then there is learning happening, but how do we know that those kind of things are happening? So I think that's what I'm like really interested in. That's like what I have tried to question a lot
Yeah.
now, just to understand how we can get into the head of the learner that I'm working with, and trying to see what's going in that mind of theirs, and see, what are they playing around with when they are doing those things. So what kind of questions are coming in their head when they are doing things. A lot of times we just do that, we just give them an assignment and we assume that learning will
Mhm.
happen in that process, and the end evidence is a proof for their learning. But I think that process of what is going in that kid's mind um, when they are making that thing, or when I'm talking to them, what's happening in their head, is something that I'm more curious nowadays about. I don't know if I'm making sense.
You are? I was like, "Wait, it sounds like you're getting into, like, neuroscience." Like, you wanna
It is,
know
in some way, yeah, in some
what's
way.
happening but it's psychological too, it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Also, like, just more to do with the mind, in terms of, okay, if you can just, at the right moment, if you can just ask them, okay, what are you thinking about when you're doing something like this? So if they can just talk about it, or if they can just show those things, then you will
Yeah.
get a better idea about what's going in
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kid's
Yeah.
mind at the times.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's what's driving my curiosity towards learning nowadays. So
Very cool. I wanna shift into thinking about I would imagine in the different transitions that you made that there was like uncertainty where you weren't sure it was going to work out to go off and do design, or you weren't sure it was going to work out to fly off to America and go to this crazy school, and probably other experiences in your life too. How do you navigate yourself through those periods of uncertainty?
I think yeah. So I mean, a lot of times people think about like the long term, okay, how do I see myself in the next 20 years, kind of a thing. So I think for me it's been like, what do I like doing right now, and how do I go about building more on that. So
Yeah.
that's been more about my way of looking at things. Okay, I love doing something there, and that's why the project thing. So I like doing right now this, and I would love to build more on it. I would love to know more about it. I thinking, okay, this is the moment right now, and I've got what I wanted to do. I've got design. Okay, I'm loving it. So
No, but it's such a good mindset to have, I think. And it's working for you. So why wouldn't you continue? Yeah. So there's confidence there. Uncertainty, sure. But like when I'm working with my students, I'm often encouraging them to approach new things like an experiment. So it doesn't feel too big and scary of like, let's try something for a week and see how it feels. Let's try it this way or that way. And it sounds like you've approached a big parts of your life that way too. Let's try this out. I'm enjoying it. Let's see where we can go with this. And I think that's a great way to move through the world.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also a lot of times, it's not that you are like just carefree and doing things. There's a lot of times these
Yeah.
questions come into you, right? As
Yeah.
like, okay, whether I'm doing the right thing in certain ways. And that time, I think I just like catch hold of people and I can talk to, and those people have been really supportive in
Oh,
terms of,
you
okay,
seek
being motivated.
counsel.
So
Mhm.
so my wife, my friends,
Mhm.
I just tell
Mhm.
tell them about things. I think those moments when you feel that support is required, you should ask for it, and and I don't know, like, should not be, I don't know, ashamed to ask for it, right? And those are what friends are for. That's what, like, anyone's around you who love is for, to ask for support or to ask for help, so, and give
Yeah.
help, but also support, right? And
Yeah.
and that's what I do. I just, if I'm feeling that, okay, I'm not there in the moment, or I'm not able to understand what's happening, I just like catch hold of people, and just talk to them, and then
Mm,
either
mhm.
they either motivate me, or work the other way around, but still I just decide what I want to do. So, but still, I just let it out.
I think that's a great way to approach things. It's also much more living in the present than living in the past or the future,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
feels it's more shaky there anyways. Um, so currently in the present time, you mentioned that you have started teaching as a professor. What are you specifically teaching now?
Yeah, so again, it's again a different story. The thing is that with the university that I'm part of, there is it's the School of Design. And under the School of Design, there is School of Communication, the Department of Interaction Design, Department of Communication, Department of Product. But and I did not apply for that job, so I just went in there, and one of the professors there happened to be my friend, my mentor actually, and then I just went there to just because I knew that he was there in that place, so I just went to meet him, and then he just said, "Oh, you're back. There's that. Why did you come and teach?" Then I was like, "Okay, it looks like a nice place and interesting place, and it's a very new university. A lot of things are not written in stones, so a lot of flexibility in terms of how it can be structured, how it can be nurtured, and a lot of flexibility to people. So I just thought, why not? It's a
Mm.
new space, and I'll get the kind of freedom that I want to do. So I said okay to them, and I said, okay, fine, I'll join. When I was brought in, looking at my background of like coming in from a diverse experience, they put me under the broader umbrella of School of Design. So yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm like pushed here. I'm teaching this. I'm teaching that. So I've just finished taking a month-long course on system design. So again, systems that is also for a bunch of students who do not belong to one department. It's a
Integrated.
yeah, it's a month-long elective. So students from all departments come in. It was a bunch of around 30 students. Then I was teaching them systems. So it was a great experience. And now I'm teaching exhibition design for the architecture and interior students. So so I think I'm like pushed around everywhere wherever they feel that okay, I can bring in some kind of an input to their learning. So
Wow. That sounds so creative and like you have a lot of freedom to be a learner yourself as you teach as well, which is, I don't know, very gratifying. It must be.
yeah, and also I think one good thing is with at least my role is they bring me in when they are not very definite about what they want to teach. So I get that flexibility as well. Okay, I'm coming in and I'm going to teach this and I'm going to teach it this way. So
And
so that really works for me.
and you probably don't have a blueprint. Like you have to
Yeah,
design
exactly.
the classroom.
Exactly. So that's what like
So
elective, right?
cool.
So a month-long
Mhm.
elective, they did not know what they wanted to do. So they brought me in and said that, okay, can you teach something to do with systems? And I said, okay, fine. So I developed my own way of teaching, my own outline of what it's supposed to be doing. So I just got it, I shared it with the team and they passed it. And then after that, I was teaching that. So even this course that I'm doing right now, it is again a workshop format. So I'm telling them this is what I want to teach and this is how it needs to be taught. So most of them is like where I come in is it's a very flexible program, and I get to decide in a certain way as to what needs to be taught and how it needs to be taught.
You're teaching a group or you're working more individually with people?
I'm teaching a group. I teach.
Okay.
It's mostly a group of around 30 to 40 students, and most of the time I either by myself or I have a few other professors along with me working alongside.
Really fun. And you're enjoying it?
So far I'm really loving it, and I think it's that's what I was telling you in the beginning, right? It's a very new space for me. I'm getting to I tell my students that you guys are also my guinea pigs, you're my experiment, because even I am trying to understand what is working, what is not working.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I come constantly asking for feedback from the students. I'm constantly trying to say, okay, are you trying to do like a vibe check in the class? And I like,
Mhm.
okay, what does the vibe look like? Are you guys in a sleepy mood? Okay, how do we make it much more interesting? So all those things are, I'm trying to practice that where I'm keeping them at the center and then trying to work around it.
Mm.
So a lot of times I think they are also quite new to these kind of things. So they are also like, taken aback in terms of like, why is this guy teaching the way that it never taught that? So a lot of
Yeah.
times it's a different experience for them as well. But I see that a lot of time is working for them. I'm getting a lot of good feedback in terms of how things are being done. So I'm really positive about it. And those feedbacks really, like charge me up more. And I'm like, oh, I should do something more. I should do something more. And this is working. That's not working. So, and there's a
That's
learning everywhere.
That's gotta be very empowering for the students to be part of giving that feedback, and I mean, not directly in the way you're designing things, but it's impacting the way you design things, it
Definitely,
sounds
definitely,
like.
definitely.
Yeah. I think that's, being engaged and feeling like you're part of what's happening in the classroom is like one of those universal things of like any setting, any age, any kind of brain has to
Hmm.
like care. They have to feel
Hmm.
like they're like a valued as a human being in the space for learning. And that doesn't tend to be things we talk about with
teaching
Mhm.
pedagogy is just the human aspect of it all.
Yeah, I think that aspect of ownership, when you own that space and it becomes yours, that's when you really open up and then you feel comfortable. And that's at the end of it, that's what I think every teacher should aim towards. It's just building a safe environment where they are themselves and they are happy to make mistakes. They're happy to explore, and that's what we all want. And beyond that, whether learning happens, whether we want them to understand this, that's the second level. Before that,
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
space is very important. So
It just sounds to me like what you described, such a perfect space to teach in that way. And I just think it's so exciting that you've carved the space where you can really practice like the art of teaching
mhm.
and see that work at this
Yeah,
college.
I'm still struggling a lot of times. I think a lot of times it works, a lot of time it does not work. Also, that evidence to see that it's working is something that I have to even like understand. How do I go about
Yeah.
something
How
like
do you
that?
even collect data?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So yeah.
What would you say that you find the most energizing and exciting or that you just love about teaching? I mean, you've named a bunch of stuff, but I wanted to give you a chance to add to the list of like things you love about teaching, why you do it.
I mean, I don't know, I just love being with learners. Firstly, that's there. Beyond that, I think that validation that I was writing my own reflection last time about the class that I conducted, and then I wrote my stuff, and then I posted it, and there were a lot of students, my students, who were commenting on it, and then they were talking about like what they felt and what they understood. So it was so rewarding for me to understand that and to feel that, like, oh, I was in some way successful in uh, bringing some amount of change in the way they think and the way they understand and the way they look at the world differently now. So I think that is what I really find it rewarding for myself. That okay, you are able to make that small dent in their way they perceive things and way they look at things. And if they are able to do that for good things, then it's great, right? Great. So that's what I really like, because you can do that the so when that return thing that you get is, and when it is working, you feel really proud.
Mm, yeah, it's addictive. I think. Just be careful.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, but that's when it works. But when it does not work, it's when you like, I don't know, you go down. So
It's
that's
the
also
worst. It's like, why am I doing this? No, I made a mistake. I
exactly. A
don't want
different
to
kind of
ever
a
show
drug.
my
That's a different kind of a drug.
I don't wanna show my face again. There is something like you have to slightly enjoy, I think, being uncomfortable as a teacher. You do have to get a little enjoyment out of that, because if you hate it, then you're always gonna run away from the critique that everyone is go that you need. Because I don't think teaching is just starts with, like, don't know anything and you just get better, like, it's not a straight upward line at all. Like, you have good days and bad days, and you have, like, better years than other years, and and you have to be able to take feedback and you have to enjoy it enough or be open enough for it. Otherwise, it all just becomes sort of like bad days, and it's too hard of a job to have all bad days.
And it's quite straining as well, right? I mean, the days I'm having classes, I'm like, wow, it's like starts at 9 and it gets over at 4, the whole day class. And then at the end of the day, you're just like, wow, I just want to like slide.
Yeah, yeah. But I know as we get to the end here, what are you most intrigued by in the world of teaching and learning and design?
I think it's about, for me, it's about the mind. I think, like, how does this learning happen in, especially, I have this discussion a lot with my friend about creative learning. What does it look like? What does it even mean? And how is it different from any other kind of learning? So that's something that I'm really curious and uh, intrigued in a certain way about, and want to know more as and when I'm like learning more about it. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just the mind. I just want to like understand the mind of a learner, I think.
That's the great thing to be intrigued as a teacher, no? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Someone who might be listening to this podcast and hearing your story, what advice would you give to a young person like that that's maybe considering not taking the typical path?
I think I don't know. I don't want to sound like really, that it's okay to listen to yourself. It's okay to follow your passion. I don't want to say that because there is a lot of, again, that uncertainty part of it. There is a lot of times when you feel that you're not really, you've taken the wrong decision. There's a lot of time when you feel that, is this really for me? Is this really what I want to do? So a lot of time these questions will also come in, but and then you feel that that okay, whatever you've done is a wrong decision that you made. But again, how do you turn that into a positive thing? I don't know whether it is just by talking to somebody and then understanding the other people's point of view, or whether you yourself looking at it from objectively and trying to see what can work best out of this. These are the times when you feel that feel a little down. So those are the times when you got to be really strong and I think positive about things. Otherwise, I think it's always really, really good to follow your passion and follow what you were really meant to do and things. But then it's always never a rosy picture. It's never always that I'm following my passion means that I'm really enjoying what I'm doing, because a lot of it, and like how you said, there's a lot of ups and downs in everything that you do. Every decision that you make, it is going to lead you to a different path, which means that you are not taking a lot of other decisions that are that were also a choice for you, right? So it's I think there is a lot of hurdle that will come in. Some of them are the ones that you might have to take a U-turn and come back, but then just be ready for it. That's the only thing. Yeah.
That's a good mindset. And like a grounded, like idealistic, but grounded. Like follow your passion, but no going in. It won't all just be fun. Oh,
exactly. I mean, it's been for me as well. I mean, a lot of times, uh, not getting what you sometimes wanted to reach somewhere, but not reaching there because of certain things that didn't work out. But then again, like, what do you do out of that? You can't just like, I don't know, just make the best out of it and then do it. Like the chef's part of it, the chef thing. I mean, you're trying to do something and make something really gorgeous, but then it didn't turn out the way it's supposed to. But what you gotta do? You gotta just eat it still.
right. But it's on the path to getting better, hopefully.
Yeah. And then at the end of it, like learning from it, right? I don't know. I think that's most important. I think that just learn from it. I think, and so that you don't you don't make it again. I mean, you don't make the mistakes again. So
keep them.
And it's also okay if you make the mistakes again. Also, it's totally fine. I think it's okay to make as many mistakes
as you need to. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story with me and with those listening. It was really fun hearing your story. Very excited to keep.
Thank you, Annabelle. It was lovely talking to you as well. I think even for me, it really works out when I'm like talking to people and bouncing things off. Other than like reading or reading doesn't really work a lot for me. It's more about talking and watching that really works for me. So I think this few hours that I spent with you, I think it also really helped me in understanding what I have and where I am right now. So yeah, so thank you for that as well.
My goodness.
If you've enjoyed today's discussion, I invite you to share this episode and subscribe to Able Pathways podcast on your favorite platform. Your support helps us to share these meaningful conversations with more people. Have thoughts about this episode or suggestions for future guests? We would love to hear from you. Leave us a comment or email us at hello@ablepathways.com. Until next time, I'm Annabelle, reminding you that there are infinite pathways to growth. May you travel yours with curiosity and courage.